Chosen one, this is your confirmation. Do not leave this season yet. What God is preparing for you is far closer than you think. One of the most important truths we learn in life, often much later than we wish, is that not every person who wants us is meant to walk with us into the future. This sounds simple on the surface, yet it challenges one of the strongest instincts in human nature. Most people assume that if someone pursues them, values them, admires them, or desires a relationship with them, then that interest must automatically mean something significant. But desire and destiny are not the same thing. Human beings have a deep need to be chosen. We want to feel seen. We want to feel important in someone's eyes. And because this desire runs so deep, we sometimes mistake attention for confirmation. We begin to believe that because someone wants us, they must belong in our lives. Yet history, experience, and wisdom repeatedly teach the opposite lesson. Many people can appreciate your qualities while having no place in the future you are meant to build. The difficulty is that attention feels good. It speaks directly to our emotions. When someone expresses interest, it can satisfy insecurities we may not even realize we carry. It reassures us that we are attractive, valuable, and worthy of affection. There is nothing wrong with appreciating those feelings. The problem begins when we allow those feelings to become our guide. Psychologically speaking, people are often drawn toward what feels familiar rather than what is beneficial. Familiarity creates comfort, and comfort creates attachment. Yet comfort is not always a sign of wisdom. Sometimes the person who seems perfect for our emotional needs in the present may be completely incompatible with the person we are becoming. Think about it this way. Every meaningful relationship influences direction. Relationships are never neutral. They shape habits, priorities, beliefs, and even identity. The people closest to us gradually affect how we see ourselves and how we see the world. This means that choosing a relationship is never simply choosing a person. It is choosing an influence. It is choosing a future environment for your mind, your character, and your growth. That is why the question cannot simply be, do they want me? The more important question is, where are they leading me? Those are very different questions. One focuses on desire, the other focuses on direction. Many people spend years asking whether someone loves them enough. Far fewer stop to ask whether that person's presence is helping them become wiser, stronger, kinder, or more aligned with their deepest values. Yet those are the questions that determine the quality of a future relationship. There is also a philosophical lesson here that is worth considering. Not every opportunity is an assignment. Not every open door is meant to be walked through. In life, options will always appear. Some will seem exciting. Some will seem flattering. Some will arrive at exactly the moment you feel lonely or uncertain. But timing alone does not make something right. Wisdom requires the ability to separate possibility from purpose. A person may genuinely care about you and still not be the right companion for your journey. That reality can be difficult to accept because we often think in extremes. We assume that if someone is not right for us, then they must be bad. But life is rarely that simple. Two good people can want each other and still be moving toward different destinations. Desire does not automatically create alignment. What truly matters is whether your values, vision, and direction support one another. The strongest relationships are not built merely on attraction or admiration. They are built on shared purpose and mutual growth. They help both people become more of who they are meant to be rather than less. So when you find yourself facing a choice, resist the temptation to be guided only by who is reaching for you. Look deeper, examine character, observe consistency. Pay attention to the influence they have on your thinking, your priorities, and your future. Because the people who belong in your life are not merely those who want you. They are those who help you become the person you were created to become. And perhaps that is the thought worth carrying with you today. Being wanted is flattering, but being wisely aligned is life-changing. Choose the person who fits your future, not just the one who captures your attention. As we move deeper into this idea, we begin to encounter a distinction that many people overlook until experience forces them to see it. When two people want you at the same time, they rarely affect you in the same way. One may awaken powerful emotions, the other may quietly encourage your growth. And while emotions are important, they are not always the most trustworthy guide when making tough decisions that will shape your future. Human beings naturally seek experiences that make them feel alive. We are drawn toward excitement, intensity, and emotional stimulation. There is something undeniably attractive about a connection that creates butterflies, anticipation, and constant emotional highs. It feels significant because it is felt so strongly. The heart interprets intensity as importance, yet intensity and importance are not necessarily the same thing. This is where many people become confused. A relationship that constantly stimulates emotion can easily convince us that it is profound. We assume that because we feel so much, the connection must be right. But feelings, while valuable, are temporary visitors. They rise and fall. They change with circumstances, moods, expectations, and even simple misunderstandings. If a relationship is built entirely upon emotion, it becomes vulnerable to every emotional storm that inevitably arrives. Growth, however, operates differently. Growth is often quieter. It does not always produce immediate excitement. In fact, growth frequently challenges us. It confronts our weaknesses, exposes our blind spots, and invites us to become better than we currently are. Because of this, the person who contributes most to our growth may not always create the strongest emotional rush. Psychologically, this makes perfect sense. Growth requires change, and change is uncomfortable. The mind naturally resists anything that threatens familiar patterns. Even when those patterns are unhealthy, they feel safe simply because they are known. As a result, we may find ourselves attracted to someone who reinforces our existing habits, while overlooking someone who encourages us to mature beyond them. Consider how this plays out in everyday life. One person may constantly tell you exactly what you want to hear. They validate every impulse, support every emotional reaction, and never challenge your perspective. At first, this feels wonderful. It creates a sense of ease and affirmation, but over time, such a relationship can become stagnant because neither person is being called to grow. Another person may offer something different. They encourage accountability. They challenge destructive thinking. They inspire discipline, patience, and wisdom. They believe in your potential enough to refuse to let you settle for less than you are capable of becoming. This may not always feel comfortable, but it creates development, and development is what prepares people for lasting fulfillment. One of the great philosophical misunderstandings of modern life is the belief that happiness is the highest goal. Happiness is valuable, but happiness alone is not enough. A life devoted only to feeling good often becomes shallow because it avoids the very struggles that produce depth, character, and meaning. The same principle applies to relationships. The healthiest relationships are not those that merely provide comfort. They are those that contribute to transformation. They help us become more patient, more resilient, more compassionate, and more self-aware. They do not simply support who we are today. They invest in who we are becoming tomorrow. This is why growth should never be mistaken for a lack of compatibility. Sometimes the person who challenges you most wisely is the person who sees your highest potential most clearly. They are not trying to change your identity. They are helping you become the best version of it. Of course, this does not mean a relationship should be difficult or filled with constant conflict. Growth is not about criticism. It is about encouragement toward maturity. The right person creates an environment where both individuals can evolve without fear. They provide support without enabling weakness. They offer love without abandoning truth. When looking at two people who want your attention, ask yourself a question that goes beyond emotion. Ask not only, how do I feel when I am with them, but also, who am I becoming because of them? That question reveals more than attraction ever can, because at the end of the day, the person who simply excites your emotions may capture your present, but the person who nurtures your growth has the potential to transform your future. And that is worth remembering. Emotions can make you feel alive for a moment, but growth helps you build a life worth living. Choose the person who strengthens your future, not merely the one who intensifies your feelings. As we continue, we arrive at a truth that can be difficult to accept because it challenges the way many people make decisions. The wrong choice is rarely obvious in the beginning. In fact, if it were obvious, very few people would make it. More often, the wrong choice appears attractive, reasonable, and even promising. It offers something you desire right now. It seems to answer an immediate need. Yet beneath the surface, it may be quietly undermining the future you hope to create. This is one of the great paradoxes of human nature. We are often willing to sacrifice tomorrow for something that feels good today. We know this principle exists in finances, health, education, and personal development. A person can enjoy immediate comfort while damaging long-term success. The same principle applies to relationships. When two people want you at the same time, one may appeal directly to your present desires. They may provide excitement, validation, attention, or escape from loneliness. They may seem like the answer to what you are currently feeling. And because those feelings are real, the connection can appear deeply meaningful. But there is a crucial question that must be asked. What happens after the emotions settle? The future is built not by moments, but by patterns. A single feeling can influence a day, but repeated choices shape a lifetime. This means that when evaluating a relationship, we cannot focus only on what it provides in the present. We must also consider what it is producing over time. Psychologically, people often confuse relief with fulfillment. Relief removes discomfort. Fulfillment creates meaning. The two are not the same. For example, loneliness can create a powerful desire for connection. In that state, almost any attention feels valuable because it temporarily eases the pain of isolation. But a relationship chosen primarily to escape loneliness may solve one problem while creating several others. The discomfort disappears for a moment, yet the deeper issues remain unresolved. This is why some relationships feel wonderful at first and disappointing later. They were selected to satisfy an immediate emotional need, rather than to support a long-term vision. What seemed like a solution eventually reveals itself as a distraction. A person can satisfy your desire for attention while weakening your discipline. They can make you feel admired while encouraging habits that limit your growth. They can provide companionship while slowly pulling you away from your values, goals, and purpose. The danger is that these changes rarely happen all at once. Human beings adapt gradually. Small compromises seem harmless in isolation. A slight shift in priorities, a little less focus, a little less ambition, a little more acceptance of behaviors that once seemed unacceptable. Over time, these small adjustments accumulate, and one day, a person may look back and realize they have become someone they never intended to be. This is why relationships carry such profound influence. They affect far more than emotions. They shape identity. The people closest to us influence how we think, what we value, how we spend our time, and what we believe is possible. Whether we recognize it or not, relationships are constantly pulling us in a direction. The question is not whether influence exists. The question is whether that influence is moving us toward the future we desire, or away from it. Philosophically speaking, every choice involves sacrifice. To choose one path is to leave another behind. This means that choosing a relationship is not only about gaining a person, it is also about accepting the future that comes with that person. That future may be one of growth, purpose, and mutual encouragement, or it may be one of stagnation, distraction, and unrealized potential. The challenge is that the future cannot be fully seen in the present. We must rely on wisdom rather than impulse. We must evaluate direction rather than simply reacting to desire. When you look at two people who want to be part of your life, do not ask only who makes you feel happiest today. Ask who is helping you become the person you hope to be 5 years from now. Ask whose influence strengthens your character rather than merely satisfying your emotions. Ask which relationship supports the life you are trying to build. Because the wrong choice rarely destroys the future overnight. More often, it slowly persuades you to abandon it piece by piece. And that is the thought worth reflecting on. A relationship should do more than meet the needs of the present moment. It should help create a future you will be grateful to live. Choose carefully, because the person who satisfies today's desires may cost tomorrow's possibilities. This brings us to a principle that is often overlooked in a culture that places so much emphasis on feelings. We are taught to trust our hearts, follow our emotions, and pursue whatever creates the strongest sense of connection. While emotions certainly have their place, there is something even more valuable when making decisions that shape the course of your life. That quality is discernment. Discernment is different from intelligence. A person can be highly intelligent and still make poor relationship choices. Discernment is the ability to see beyond appearances. It is the capacity to recognize what something truly is, rather than merely what it seems to be. It allows a person to look past charm, attraction, and temporary emotion, and evaluate the deeper reality underneath. This matters because chemistry is powerful. The experience of chemistry can feel almost magical. Conversations flow effortlessly. Attraction feels natural. There is excitement, anticipation, and a sense of connection that appears impossible to explain. Chemistry creates momentum. It convinces people that because something feels easy, it must also be right. But chemistry and compatibility are not the same thing. Many relationships begin with remarkable chemistry and end in disappointment, because chemistry alone cannot sustain a future. It can create attraction, but it cannot guarantee alignment. It can spark interest, but it cannot build trust. It can make two people feel connected, but it cannot determine whether they are moving toward the same destination. The problem is that strong emotions often reduce our ability to evaluate situations objectively. Psychologists sometimes refer to this as emotional bias. When we are emotionally invested, we tend to focus on evidence that supports our desires, while ignoring evidence that challenges them. We see what we want to see. We hear what we want to hear. We interpret reality through the lens of our feelings. This is why discernment becomes so important. Discernment asks questions that chemistry never asks. Chemistry asks, how do I feel around this person? Discernment asks, who are they when feelings are removed from the equation? Chemistry asks, am I attracted to them? Discernment asks, can I trust their character? Chemistry asks, do they make me excited? Discernment asks, do they make me better? These questions may seem simple, but they reveal the difference between temporary attraction and lasting wisdom. One of the great philosophical truths about life is that reality eventually reveals itself. People can maintain an image for a period of time, but character always emerges. Habits become visible. Priorities become clear. Values reveal themselves through actions. The challenge is having enough discernment to pay attention before the consequences arrive. Many people ignore warning signs because they are captivated by chemistry. They overlook inconsistency because attraction feels strong. They dismiss concerns because the emotional connection seems too meaningful to question. Yet what is ignored in the beginning often becomes impossible to ignore later. Discernment requires patience, because truth usually reveals itself over time. A wise person understands that feelings can arrive instantly, but understanding takes longer. Character is not measured by a few impressive moments. It is measured by consistent behavior over extended periods. Anyone can say the right words. Anyone can create a good first impression, but not everyone can demonstrate reliability, integrity, and maturity when circumstances become difficult. This is particularly important when two people want your attention at the same time. One may create intense chemistry. The connection may feel exciting and irresistible. The other may seem less dramatic, yet their actions consistently reveal stability, wisdom, and genuine care. The emotionally exciting option often attracts immediate attention. The discerning choice requires deeper observation, and yet When people reflect on their greatest relationship mistakes, they rarely say, "I should have felt more." More often, they say, "I should have paid attention." They remember the signs they ignored. They remember the concerns they dismissed. They remember the moments when wisdom whispered, while emotion shouted. Discernment is the ability to listen to wisdom, even when emotion is demanding immediate action. It does not reject feelings. It simply refuses to let feelings become the sole authority. It recognizes that a meaningful future requires more than attraction. It requires trust, character, shared values, and a direction that supports long-term growth. When you are faced with an important choice, do not allow chemistry to make the entire decision for you. Appreciate it, but examine it. Enjoy it, but question it. Feel it, but do not blindly follow it. Because the strongest feelings are not always pointing toward the strongest future. And perhaps that is the lesson worth carrying forward. Chemistry can open a door, but only discernment can tell you whether walking through it is wise. The future belongs not to those who feel the most, but to those who see the clearest. As we move further into this discussion, we arrive at a question that may be more important than any other. When you imagine the future you hope to build, the person you want to become, the values you want to live by, the purpose you want to fulfill, does the relationship move you closer to that future, or does it slowly pull you away from it? This question matters because the right person will never require you to abandon the best parts of yourself in order to keep them. In fact, one of the clearest signs of a healthy relationship is that it strengthens your purpose, rather than competing with it. Many people enter relationships believing that love alone is enough. They assume that if two people care deeply for one another, everything else will naturally work itself out. Yet experience teaches a different lesson. Love is powerful, but love without direction can become confused. Affection without shared purpose can create tension. Feelings without alignment can lead two people to spend years pulling against each other rather than moving forward together. The reality is that every person is heading somewhere, whether consciously or unconsciously. We are all moving toward a vision of life. We have goals, values, dreams, responsibilities, and beliefs that shape our direction. The question is whether the people closest to us support that direction or interfere with it. A relationship should not feel like a constant negotiation between who you are and who you are trying to become. Psychologically speaking, human beings are heavily influenced by their environment. We often imagine ourselves as completely independent thinkers, but research and experience both suggest otherwise. The people we spend the most time with influence our habits, attitudes, confidence, and expectations. Their outlook gradually becomes part of our outlook. Their priorities affect our priorities. Their standards shape our standards. This influence happens so gradually that we rarely notice it while it is occurring. That is why choosing a partner is about far more than choosing companionship. It is choosing the person whose voice will become one of the most influential voices in your pill. It is choosing the person who will affect how you think during moments of doubt, how you respond to challenges, and how you view your own potential. The right person understands this responsibility. They do not seek to control your future. They seek to support it. They celebrate your growth rather than feeling threatened by it. They encourage your goals rather than dismissing them. They recognize your strengths and challenge you to develop them further. Instead of creating unnecessary obstacles, they become a source of strength during difficult seasons. This does not mean they agree with everything you do. In fact, sometimes the most supportive person is the one willing to tell you difficult truths when necessary. Real support is not blind approval. Real support is helping someone move toward what is best for them, even when that path requires discipline, patience, or sacrifice. Philosophically, every meaningful relationship should create a partnership of becoming. Two people are not merely sharing experiences, they are participating in each other's development. They are influencing the type of individuals they will become over time. This is why the right relationship often brings a sense of clarity rather than confusion. You know where you stand. You know what matters. You know what direction you are moving. The relationship becomes a source of stability rather than constant uncertainty. By contrast, the wrong relationship often creates internal conflict. It may demand compromises that weaken your values. It may encourage habits that distract you from your goals. It may require you to repeatedly choose between personal growth and maintaining the relationship. Over time, this tension becomes exhausting because part of you recognizes that something important is being sacrificed. A healthy relationship should not force you to shrink in order to survive. The right person does not ask you to become less disciplined, less purposeful, less ambitious, less authentic, or less aligned with your principles. They make it easier, not harder, to become the person you aspire to be. When two people want your attention, pay close attention to the direction each relationship creates in your life. Observe who inspires growth. Observe who encourages responsibility. Observe who respects your values, even when it is inconvenient. Observe who genuinely wants to see you flourish, rather than simply wanting access to your time and affection. Because the person meant for your future will not compete with your purpose. They will walk alongside it. They will become a partner in the life you are building, rather than a distraction from it. And that is the truth worth remembering. The right person will never require you to lose yourself to keep them. The best relationships do not pull you away from your purpose. They help you become the person your purpose was always calling you to be. And so we arrive at the final and perhaps most important truth of all. Your future depends on who you choose today. At first glance, this may sound obvious. Of course, our choices affect our future. Yet very few decisions carry as much long-term influence as the people we allow into the deepest parts of our lives. Careers can change, circumstances can shift, opportunities can come and go, but the people closest to us often shape the direction of our lives in ways we do not fully understand until years later. This is why choosing between two people is never simply about choosing who you like more. It is about choosing which future you are willing to build. Every relationship creates momentum. It establishes patterns of thought, behavior, and priorities. Day by day, conversation by conversation, decision by decision, two lives begin moving in a shared direction. Eventually, that direction matters more than the emotions that started the journey. Human beings often underestimate the power of small decisions. We imagine that life changes through dramatic moments, but most transformation occurs gradually. The future is rarely created in a single day. It is built through thousands of choices that seem insignificant when they happen. And among those choices, the people we commit ourselves to become some of the most influential. Psychologically, the people around us act like mirrors. They reflect back an image of who we are and who we can become. Some mirrors reveal our potential and encourage us to rise toward it. Others reinforce our weaknesses and keep us trapped within them. Over time, we begin to believe the messages we consistently receive. That is why relationships are never merely emotional experiences. They are environments, and every environment produces something. A healthy environment produces confidence, growth, resilience, and purpose. An unhealthy environment produces confusion, insecurity, stagnation, and doubt. The challenge is that these effects are often invisible at first. We notice the attraction immediately, but the long-term influence reveals itself slowly. This is where wisdom becomes essential. Wisdom is the ability to value the future enough to make difficult choices in the present. It is recognizing that not every attractive option deserves commitment. It is understanding that what feels right in a moment may not be right for a lifetime. Many people spend years regretting decisions they made in a season of emotion. They ignored warning signs because the connection felt exciting. They overlooked incompatibilities because they wanted the relationship to work. They chose immediate satisfaction over long-term alignment. The tragedy is not that they lacked feelings. The tragedy is that they lacked perspective. Perspective allows us to see beyond the present moment. It reminds us that every relationship is leading somewhere. Every connection is creating consequences. Every choice is writing a chapter of a future story. When two people want you at the same time, it is tempting to focus only on what each person offers right now. One may offer excitement, another may offer comfort, one may seem more attractive, another may seem more familiar. But the deeper question is not what they offer today. The deeper question is who they are helping you become. 5 years from now, which relationship is most likely to have strengthened your character? Which one supports your values? Which one encourages responsibility, maturity, and growth? Which one helps create a life that reflects your highest aspirations rather than your temporary impulses? These questions require patience, because they force us to think beyond immediate emotions. Yet they are the questions that ultimately matter. Philosophically speaking, our lives become the result of what we repeatedly choose. Destiny is often less mysterious than people imagine. It is frequently the natural outcome of countless decisions made over time, and among those decisions, few are more significant than deciding who will walk beside us. The person you choose will influence your habits, your mindset, your confidence, your priorities, and even your understanding of yourself. They will either contribute to the future you hope to build, or gradually lead you away from it. This is why the choice matters so much. Not because one person is perfect and the other is flawed, but because one path leads somewhere different than the other. And that leads us to the final reflection. When two people want you at the same time, do not ask who is most determined to keep your attention. Ask who is most aligned with the future you want to create. Because the quality of your future will often be determined by the quality of the people you choose to share it with. Choose carefully. A moment of attraction can influence a season, but a wise choice can transform an entire lifetime.